Improve English speaking skills. Make more money. Shadowing practice with a simple conversation. David and Jessica.
David. Hey, over here.
Jessica, hi. Wow, it's been ages. How long has it been? 2 years.
At least 2 years. Maybe longer. You look great, by the way. Life's clearly treating you well.
Ha, I don't know about that, but thank you. You look great too. Sit down, sit down. What are you having?
Just a flat white, thanks. So tell me, what have you been up to? Last I heard, you were still at that marketing agency.
I was, for a while. Actually, that's a big part of why I wanted to catch up with you today. I left the agency about 8 months ago.
Oh really? What happened?
Nothing dramatic. I just felt like I'd hit a ceiling. I was doing decent work, but my English wasn't strong enough to take on the bigger international clients, and that's really where the money was. My manager kept giving those accounts to other people on the team, and I finally realized it was because I couldn't communicate confidently enough in meetings.
That's such a common story. I hear that from so many people in our field.
Right. So I made a decision. I said to myself, if I actually improve my spoken English, doors are going to open that are currently closed. And that's exactly what happened.
Wait, so what did you do? Did you take a course?
I did a few things. First, I started shadowing, listening to native speakers and repeating what they say, copying the rhythm and intonation. I did that every single morning before work, just 20 minutes.
20 minutes a day doesn't sound like much.
It doesn't, but it adds up. After about 3 months, I noticed I was hesitating less. I wasn't translating in my head anymore, the words were just coming out.
That's the dream, honestly. I still catch myself translating sometimes, especially when I'm nervous.
Everyone does that at first. The shadowing practice trains your mouth and your brain to work together faster, so eventually you skip the translation step entirely.
Okay, so you did the shadowing. What else?
I also started speaking with a language partner twice a week, just casual conversation. And I forced myself to volunteer for meetings in English, even when I was scared of making mistakes.
That takes courage.
It really does. But here's the thing, nobody actually cared about my small mistakes. People were just happy I was contributing. The fear was much bigger in my head than in reality.
That's so true. I think we're all our own worst critics when it comes to language learning.
Exactly. And within about 6 months, my manager noticed the change. I was speaking up in client calls, writing clearer emails, even leading a couple of presentations.
So is that when you got promoted?
Not exactly promoted, I actually left. A recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn because she'd seen a presentation I did that got shared internally. She said, "We're looking for someone who can manage our international accounts, and your communication style is exactly what we need."
No way.
Yes way. And the new role pays almost 40% more than what I was making before.
40%? David, that's incredible.
It genuinely changed my financial situation. And the wild part is, my actual marketing skills didn't change that much. What changed was my ability to express those skills clearly in English.
That's such an important point. So many talented people get overlooked simply because they can't communicate their ideas confidently.
It's the difference between having value and being able to show that value. Communication is the bridge between the two.
Okay, now I really want to know more. What do you think is the actual connection between speaking skills and making more money? I mean, besides your own story.
Well, think about it logically. Almost every high-paying role today requires some form of communication, negotiating, presenting, leading a team, talking to clients, pitching ideas.
Right? Even technical jobs need that now.
Exactly. I have a friend who's a software engineer, brilliant guy, but for years he was stuck in a mid-level position. He told me his code was better than most senior engineers, but he never got promoted.
Let me guess. Communication?
Communication. He couldn't explain his ideas clearly in meetings, so leadership assumed he wasn't ready for a leadership role. The moment he worked on his spoken English and started explaining his reasoning clearly, confidently, and concisely, He got promoted within a year.
It's almost unfair, in a way. Skill alone isn't enough. I used to think that too, but now I see it differently. Communication isn't separate from skill, it's part of the skill. If you can't explain your idea, in a very real sense, you can't fully use it.
That's a great way to put it.
There's also a psychological side to this. When you speak confidently, people trust you more. They assume competence. It's not always fair, but it's how humans work. We judge intelligence partly by how someone speaks.
So confidence in speaking creates a kind of halo effect.
Exactly, a halo effect. People who speak fluently and clearly are often given more responsibility, more trust, and yes, more money. Even if their actual expertise is the same as someone who struggles to express themselves.
Okay, that's motivating and a little bit terrifying at the same time.
Fair. But here's the good news. Speaking skills are completely learnable. Unlike some things in career growth that depend on luck or connections, this one is entirely within your control.
That's actually really empowering when you think about it that way.
It is. And that's exactly why I wanted to share the shadowing method with you. It's one of the most efficient tools I've found.
Okay, tell me more about shadowing. I've heard the term before, but I've never really understood how to do it properly.
Sure. So the basic idea is simple. You listen to a short piece of audio, a conversation, a podcast, a movie clip, anything, and you repeat it out loud almost at the same time as the speaker or immediately after a short pause.
Immediately after, like word for word.
Word for word. But more importantly, you're trying to copy the music of the language, the rhythm, the stress, the rising and falling tone, the pauses. That's the part most learners ignore.
I think I usually focus too much on individual words and grammar.
That's the classic trap. Most classroom learning focuses on grammar rules and vocabulary lists, which are useful, but they don't train your mouth muscles or your ear for natural rhythm. Shadowing does both at once.
So it's kind of like training for a sport. Repetition builds muscle memory.
That's a perfect analogy, actually. Your tongue, lips, and jaw need to physically learn new movements to produce English sounds naturally. You can know every grammar rule in the world, but if your mouth hasn't practiced the movements, speaking will always feel slow and effortful.
Okay, so how exactly should someone start? Walk me through the steps.
Sure. Step 1. Choose short audio clips, maybe 30 seconds to 2 minutes long. Don't pick anything too long or too advanced at first.
Got it, keep it short.
Step 2. Listen to the whole clip first without speaking, just to understand the meaning generally.
Okay.
Step 3. Listen again, this time reading the transcript if you have one, and check any words or phrases you don't understand.
Makes sense.
Step 4. This is the real shadowing part. Play the audio and speak along with it, trying to match the speed, rhythm, and intonation as closely as possible. You will feel awkward at first. That's completely normal.
I imagine it feels strange to copy someone's voice like that.
It does, especially the first few times. But push through that awkwardness because that's exactly where the learning happens.
And how many times should you repeat one clip?
I usually did each clip about 5 to 10 times. By the end, I could say it fluently, almost automatically, without looking at the text.
That's a lot of repetition.
It is, but that's the whole point. Repetition is what converts conscious effort into automatic skill. Think about how you learned to ride a bicycle. You didn't read a manual, you practiced the same movements over and over until your body just knew what to do.
Language as a physical skill. I like that framing.
It really is physical, at least partly. Speaking uses muscles, and muscles need repetition to build memory.
What kind of material did you use for shadowing? Movies, podcasts, news.
I mixed it up depending on my goals. For business English, I used interviews with entrepreneurs and business podcasts because that vocabulary matched what I needed for work.
That's smart, matching the content to your actual goals.
Exactly. If your goal is to speak confidently in business meetings, don't only shadow movie dialogue, because casual slang won't help you as much in a boardroom.
What about pronunciation? Did you focus on a specific accent?
I mostly used American English content because that's what my clients used, But honestly, the accent matters less than people think. What matters more is clarity, natural rhythm, and confidence.
That's reassuring. I always worried I needed to sound exactly like a native speaker.
You don't. Nobody expects a non-native speaker to sound 100% native, and frankly, that shouldn't be the goal. The goal is to be clear, confident, and easy to understand.
That takes a lot of pressure off.
It should. I've worked with executives from all over the world who have strong accents but communicate incredibly effectively because they're clear and confident. That's what earns respect, and, frankly, that's what earns money in business.
Clear and confident, not necessarily accent-free. I like that distinction a lot.
One more tip. Use content slightly above your current level, not content that's too easy or too hard. If it's too easy, you won't grow. If it's too hard, you'll get discouraged and give up.
How do you know if it's the right level?
A good rule of thumb is that you should understand about 70 to 80% of it without help. That's challenging enough to grow, but not so hard that it's demoralizing.
That's a helpful benchmark. I've definitely picked content that was way too advanced before and just felt defeated.
We've all done that. It's much better to master something slightly easier than to struggle endlessly with something too difficult.
So let's go back to the money side of things for a minute. Besides your own promotion story, have you seen this pattern with other people? Where better English directly leads to more income.
Constantly. I actually started mentoring a couple of colleagues informally, teaching them the shadowing method, and I've watched at least 3 people get raises or promotions within a year of consistent practice.
That's a strong track record.
One woman I worked with, Maria, was a customer support rep, brilliant with people, very patient, very sharp, but her spoken English held her back from moving into a client-facing sales role, which paid significantly more.
What changed for her?
She started shadowing sales calls and negotiation podcasts specifically because that was directly relevant to the role she wanted. Within about 5 months, she felt confident enough to apply for an internal transfer.
Did she get it?
She did, and her salary increased by around 30%. But honestly, the more important change was her confidence. She told me she used to avoid speaking up in meetings entirely, and now she leads client calls regularly.
That's such a powerful transformation, not just financially but personally.
It really is. Money is one measurable outcome, but confidence changes how people carry themselves in every part of life. Negotiations, relationships, even how they walk into a room.
Speaking of negotiation, do you think English skills help specifically with negotiating salary?
Absolutely. Maybe even more directly than any other skill. If you can't clearly and confidently explain why you deserve a raise, you're far less likely to get one, no matter how good your work actually is.
That makes sense. Negotiating already feels intimidating in your native language.
It's even harder in a second language if you're not prepared. That's actually one of the best uses for shadowing, practicing negotiation scripts specifically. I used to shadow salary negotiation dialogues just to build the vocabulary and confidence for that exact situation.
That's such a practical application. Prepare the actual conversation you're going to have.
Exactly. Don't just study general English. Study the specific conversations you need to have in your career. Job interviews, salary negotiations, client pitches, presentations. Shadow real examples of those exact situations.
Okay, this is really useful. Can you actually show me an example? Like, pretend you're negotiating a raise right now.
Sure, let's do a little role play. I'll play the employee, you play the manager.
Okay, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Thank you for making time to meet with me today. I wanted to talk about my compensation based on the results I've delivered this year.
Of course, I'm happy to discuss that. What did you have in mind?
Over the past 12 months, I've taken on 2 additional major accounts, and revenue from my clients increased by 22%. I believe my contribution justifies a salary adjustment.
Those are strong numbers. What figure were you thinking?
Based on my research into industry standards for this role, I believe a 15% increase would be fair and reflect the value I'm bringing to the team.
That's a significant increase. Let me think about what we can do. Can you walk me through those results in a bit more detail?
Absolutely. I closed 3 new contracts this quarter alone, and client retention on my accounts is at 98%, well above the department average.
That's genuinely impressive. I'll need to discuss this with upper management, but I'll advocate for a meaningful increase based on what you've shared today.
I appreciate that. I'm confident the results speak for themselves, and I'm excited to keep contributing at this level going forward.
Stepping out of the roleplay, wow, David, that was really smooth. You sounded incredibly prepared and confident.
Thanks, and that's exactly the point. That entire script, I actually practiced through shadowing before my real negotiation. I found similar dialogues online, shadowed them repeatedly, adjusted the specific numbers and facts to match my situation, and by the time I walked into that meeting, the words came out naturally, because my mouth had already practiced saying them dozens of times.
That's brilliant. You basically rehearsed the actual performance.
Exactly like an actor rehearsing lines. Confidence in the moment comes from preparation before the moment.
I'm definitely going to try this before my next performance review.
You should. And don't just memorize what you'll say, shadow it out loud, multiple times, until the rhythm feels completely natural. That's the difference between sounding rehearsed and sounding confident.
Okay, I'm sold on shadowing. But how do you actually build this into a daily habit? I feel like I start these things and then give up after a week.
That happens to everyone, and honestly, it happened to me too, more than once. What finally worked was making it incredibly small and specific.
Small how?
Instead of saying, I'll study English for an hour a day, which is vague and overwhelming, I said, I will shadow one 3-minute audio clip every morning after I brush my teeth.
Attaching it to an existing habit.
Exactly, habit stacking. Brushing your teeth already happens automatically, so attaching a new habit right after it makes the new habit easier to remember and easier to actually do.
That's clever. What time of day did you practice?
Mornings worked best for me because my mind was fresh and there were fewer distractions. But honestly, the best time is whatever time you'll actually be consistent with. Some people prefer practicing during a commute or right before bed.
What about motivation on the days you just don't feel like it?
Great question. Here's what helped me. I stopped relying on motivation entirely and relied on the routine instead. Motivation comes and goes, but a fixed daily trigger doesn't depend on how you feel.
So discipline over motivation.
Exactly, and honestly, discipline gets easier once the routine is established, because you stop debating with yourself every day. It just becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth.
How long did it take before it felt automatic?
For me, about 3 weeks before it stopped feeling like a chore, and about 2 months before I actually started missing it if I skipped a day.
That's a good timeline to know, so people don't get discouraged early on.
Right, the first 2 or 3 weeks are the hardest. If you can push through that early resistance, the habit becomes self-sustaining.
What about tracking progress? Did you measure anything?
I kept a simple log, just the date, the clip I practiced, and a quick note on how it felt. Nothing fancy. But looking back at old entries after a few months was incredibly motivating, because I could clearly see how much easier things had become.
That sounds like a great confidence booster too.
It really is. Progress in speaking can feel invisible day to day, so having a record helps you see it clearly over time.
Before we wrap up, are there common mistakes people make when they try shadowing? I don't want to waste months doing it wrong.
Definitely a few big ones. First mistake, choosing material that's too difficult. People think harder content means faster progress, but it actually leads to frustration and giving up.
Right, you mentioned that 70 to 80% comprehension rule earlier.
Exactly. Second mistake, rushing through the process without focusing on rhythm and intonation. People just say the words correctly but flatly, without the natural music of the language, and that limits how natural they sound.
That's such an easy trap to fall into, just focusing on getting the words right.
It is, because we're taught in school to focus on accuracy, not musicality. But native listeners respond strongly to rhythm and intonation, sometimes even more than to perfect grammar.
What's the third mistake?
Being inconsistent. Doing an hour of shadowing once a week is far less effective than doing 15 minutes every single day. Consistency builds the muscle memory. Occasional long sessions don't.
Little and often beats occasional and intense.
Exactly. Fourth mistake. Never actually speaking with real people. Shadowing builds a strong foundation, but you still need real conversations to apply what you've practiced under real pressure.
That makes sense. Shadowing alone isn't enough.
Right? Think of shadowing as the gym and real conversations as the actual competition. You need both, the practice and the performance.
What's the last mistake?
Comparing yourself to native speakers instead of your past self. Progress in language learning is often slow and nonlinear, and if you're only comparing yourself to fluent native speakers, you'll always feel behind, no matter how much progress you've actually made.
That's such an important mindset shift.
It is. The real question isn't, do I sound like a native speaker? It's, am I better today than I was 3 months ago? If the answer is yes, you're on the right path.
David, honestly, this conversation has been incredibly motivating. I think I'm going to start shadowing tonight.
I'm really glad to hear that. Start small, just one short clip, maybe about the topics you actually care about, whether that's business, movies, or something else entirely.
I think I'll start with some interview clips, since I'm hoping to move into a more client-facing role eventually.
Perfect choice. That's exactly the kind of targeted approach that gets real results. Match your practice material to your actual goals, and the return on your effort multiplies.
And you really think the financial impact can be that significant?
From my own experience and from watching colleagues, yes, absolutely. But I'd frame it a bit differently. The money is a result, not the goal itself. The real goal is confidence and clear communication. Money tends to follow naturally once you can express your value clearly.
That's a healthier way to think about it, honestly. Chasing confidence rather than chasing a number.
Exactly. When you can speak clearly and confidently, opportunities simply open up. Promotions, new job offers, better negotiations, stronger client relationships. The income increase is really just one visible result of a much deeper change.
Well, thank you for this. I really needed the push.
Anytime. Let's meet again in a few months, and you can tell me how the shadowing practice is going.
Deal. Same coffee shop.
Same coffee shop. I'll bring some clip recommendations next time.
Perfect. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Jessica. Good luck.